which is the Plan Commission meeting. I will call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand, everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, Chris Mellon, would you please take roll call?
Luke Rich, Mr. Swike.
Here.
Ms. Chandler Felton is absent. Mr. Pettit.
Here.
I myself am here. Vice President Deering.
Here.
And Madam Chairman.
Here.
That's 5. We have a quorum.
Okay, we do have a quorum, so we can continue on with the meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
We don't have any minutes.
I was just going to say, I do not believe there were any minutes in our packet, Madam Chairman.
Oh, okay, I have it on the agenda. I'm looking for them.
Yep.
Okay, there was no minutes, so who put them on the agenda made a boo-boo.
So it's usually, Madam President, there will be a date next to minutes.
Oh, I
They'll
see.
be on the next meeting.
Oh, okay, thank you, Sheila.
Yes.
Continuing on, do we have any communications from anyone, board members? No communications? Okay, comments from the chairman? I have no comments tonight, except we will get on with the meeting. Is there any old business, board members? None? Any new business? None. Okay, continuing on with item 1, P3PS1-0525, TPL Silos LLC petitioner and owner, located at the southwest corner of East 73rd Avenue. Request, this is a preliminary 6-lot subdivision approval on 63.25 acres in a CIS/commercial industrial zoning district. The purpose, to allow a 2-building speculative logistics center. Okay, what do we have going?
Sure.
Please introduce yourself for the record and give us your program again.
Sure thing. So Matt Cruz, Crow Holdings, 318 North Carpenter Street, Suite 250, Chicago, Illinois.
And I am Fred Thady with Cage Engineering, 2200 Cabot Drive, Suite 325, Lisle, Illinois.
Thank you. Continue.
So Fred's going to pass out the updated site plan. So we started the meeting, I believe at last session.
Thank you.
Press pause,
Yes, sir.
met with Councilman Pettit, with Steve King, with Bob, and re-examined what we could do about marrying the curb cut on Mississippi with some of the concerns that was raised by the commission, and also trying to harmoniously work with what's happening on the east side of Mississippi. And so what we're presenting again tonight is just the updated plat of, preliminary plat of subdivision.
So I guess I want to walk through a couple of changes to the site plan that came about when we had moved on from the public hearing and ended discussion last meeting. As Matt had said, we went out on the site and met with staff and looked at the way that our site aligns or does not align with, remind me what that street is. Silverstone Parkway. Silverstone Parkway is a Hobart jurisdiction road. What we're proposing is, Mississippi is entirely under the jurisdiction of the town of Merrillville, as will our project be entirely within the jurisdiction of Merrillville. So when we looked at it, we had concerns with trying to get them to line up exactly and distance to the intersection to the north. So when we met with staff out there, there's one parcel that is kind of to the south of Silverstone Parkway, and our entrance kind of aligned with their south property line. What we have done, this is the change to the site plan since you looked at it last. What we've done is we've taken our entrance onto Mississippi Street, and we have moved it a little bit to the south. It's really hard to tell because you wouldn't notice it, but it moved about 13 feet to the south. And what that allowed us to do is it allowed us that if in the future we wanted to have a signalized intersection, improve that intersection, development happened in Hobart, in their development, there is the possibility that we could improve this entire area and reroute Silverstone so that it intersected with our entrance and have a good signalized intersection there. Take the traffic away from the residences that are on Silverstone currently and have these two entrances aligned and a fully improved intersection. So that's the change to the plan, was to try to accommodate what could be a potential solution down the road if and when development on the east side of Mississippi occurs. The other thing that we did is the ride-in, ride-out that you see on East 73rd Avenue. We've altered the geometrics on that. We've actually moved it to the west so that we could get a little bit more separation from it to the signalized intersection at 73rd and Mississippi. That would allow vehicles a better opportunity to maybe get into the left lane and be able to go northbound. That entrance will be designed for passenger cars in only, and it will allow trucks to exit, but no trucks in. No left turns in of any kind into the site, and only passenger vehicles and fire apparatus in on the ride-in off of 73rd. So those are the two changes since the last time we met with you.
Okay. Well, before I continue on with the board, Sheila, do you want to read the staff report?
Yes, petitioner is requesting a preliminary 6-lot subdivision approval to allow 2 buildings, speculative logistics centers on 63.25 acres in the CIS Commercial Industrial Zoning District. The proposed project seeks to generate further economic development in the town of Merrillville. Surface water will be collected by storm sewer and directed to 3 interconnected detention bases that discharge to culvert on 73rd Avenue Road and other flow goes existing wetland to the preserve. All roof and paved areas are collected into the storm sewer. There is no downspouts or pumps. Petitioner was deferred on May 20th, 25 to confirm the entrance and exit locations to the development. Petitioner met with staff to confirm these locations.
Okay, thank you, Sheila. Continuing on with the board, Jeff Zweig, do you have any questions or comments?
It looks like you've done a nice job in taking care of the situation, in my opinion.
If I may, can I put one more thing in public record? So the homeowner on the east side of Mississippi, we've also met with and discussed, there was a concern about northbound exiting cars and headlights shining into him and his wife's bedroom window in the front of their house. And so that will be accounted for on our landscape plan submitted for this development, where we improve his landscaping to address concerns. What I've agreed with Jerry is that we will present an idea, but until that entrance is actually constructed and we see what the field conditions are that exist, it's going to have to be a fluid solve and solution. So those conversations are ongoing.
Well, what is your idea, if I could ask you, to eliminate the lighting
So
that would hit his house?
the left turn out, by shifting it and actually angling it in the direction that it is, he has mature trees on the south end of his second lot as it
Right.
stands. So what we really need to do is worry about the fall and winter months. And so it's going to be 8 to 10 foot evergreens and berming and that sort of idea that we need to incorporate to block any of
good.
those.
Ryan, what are your questions or comments?
Oh, were you done, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. Just basically that, how the homeowners on the east side reacted to this. I know it's an odd situation that they've got there. left in, or right in, right out. How close are we, by shifting it to the west slightly, how close are we from the rise of I-65? When semis would come right out there to try and get across the lanes to turn north on Mississippi Street, will cars, if they are, shall we say, exceeding the posted speed limit, have enough time to avoid any problems coming off of that rise? Because it's pretty blind till you get right up on the top deck over 65.
Yeah, I wish I had something drawn to scale here, the ability to look at it, but when I look at the drawing, I mean, bear with me, I'm gonna rough estimate, but it looks to me like we're a good 600 feet. I have not done a profile to study that,
Okay.
to actually
I'm
see
looking-
where the site distance is.
Gotcha. I'm looking at the satellite view here. You've
Yeah.
got the entrance to Rogy's property to the north.
Yep, they're further, a little bit further west of us, but yes.
Okay, so they will be a little bit closer, because I
They're-
know I
correct.
don't think they've really ever run into problems over there with people entering or exiting. And there are maintenance trucks that go in there for the big towers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they are just west of us, probably like 50 feet. So the two
Okay,
entrances
so-
don't quite align, but theirs is a further west.
Gotcha. So then it would probably line up to what, again, on the satellite view is showing as the old Farmer Road going into the fields. The farmers always would park and they would be able to bring their equipment in and out.
Bear with me, I'm gonna look here and,
So while you're doing that, the intent on the design that Fred made was to give, and again, we're still exploring the idea of a traffic signal on the Mississippi, for lack of a better word, spine road. But at peak egress, shift changes aligned with a truck movement, for instance. What we're trying to allow for is a right-hand turn out of the site on 73rd. There is no reason an outbound truck is going north on Mississippi,
Okay.
unless Route 30 construction happened last year, so I think we're good for a while, I hope. It's not Illinois, so you guys actually probably repaired it properly.
Never-ending construction project.
I always gotta take my shots at Illinois, but, go ahead, Fred.
yeah, and to clarify, our proposed entrance is gonna be just to the west of that old farm entrance. So if you look at the new site plan, it's hard to tell unless you're really familiar with these drawings. But if you look at our site plan, you'll see the northern, edge of pavement line. And there's a little spot where it looks like it turns in as if the topographic survey continued, it would be a driveway to the north. That is Rogy's entrance.
Okay.
And then on the south side, the existing farm entrance is that little gap
Yep.
just to the east of the end of our right turn out.
Gotcha.
Really hard to see, and yeah.
I can, like I say, looking at this, this shot here, I can see what you're talking about. So, yeah, that all looks great, as long as the neighbors are happy and, it looks like you've really come up with a good solution for the curb cuts. So, that's all I have, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Brian. So you are approximately 50 feet from the cell tower too then, which is close to Rogy's?
No, the cell tower is at the very far northwest corner of our site.
Okay,
There's I think it's a 50-foot by 50-foot easement somewhere around there, but there's an easement, I'm sorry, no, cell tower. Cell tower's on the north side of the 73rd.
Yeah.
Rogy's got the cell tower.
Yeah.
it's close to Rogy's.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cell tower's on I was thinking the billboard.
I got a
Sorry.
yard sign over there, Margie.
Okay, good. Well, there's no interference at all with cell towers then?
No.
None. Okay, thank you. Continuing on, Chris Mellon, you had questions?
No, I have nothing at this time.
Nothing?
Madam Chair.
Sean, this is your word,
Yep.
correct?
When we were out there, guys, Fred, we talked about, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a street light on your property that had vegetation just to the south of it, and I vividly remember this, Bob, it was a white bush. Remember the flowering bush?
Yes.
And we said you were gonna move the entrance down to there to get away from Jerry's house. Is that what we're looking at now, Fred?
Yeah, Sean, I'd have to take a really hard look at it, but we should be south of that,
All right.
that bush that we were talking about, because
Okay.
that aligned with, like if you took Jerry's property line and extended it west.
Right, we talked
it was
about
kind of
the two
aligned in there.
parcels.
We've shifted everything to the south.
Okay.
So that the potential is, if everything starts developing like crazy over there on the east side, that there might be an opportunity to reroute Silverstone to be south of Jerry's property.
Right.
Entirely south of his property, and that would perfectly align with the left turns and everything that we're proposing at our entrance.
Okay. And then Matt, you and I talked on the phone, and I see it denoted on here, but Fred, your rendering, keep in mind, there is an recorded access easement that Lamar bought from the Killar family that you
Correct.
show on the plat, but the retention pond looks like it's going up. No offense, but I don't need my guys in a bucket truck falling into a retention pond.
Yeah,
So,
this
gotta
is
protect
a
that.
rendering on a preliminary level. I'm gonna say that the pavement is set when it comes to the expanse of the water in there.
Yeah.
We are working through a grading revision on our drawings, our final engineering drawings, that will preserve and give you guys that ability. We're aiming to not do any grading in that 40-foot easement.
Okay.
Unless, if we need to, we will make sure that you've got access.
Or we
That's-
can come through the parking lots, Matt, like we do at Silos, at the Amazon building. You know, you've allowed us to drive through there. Legally, the easement is recorded practically for the Lamar guys changing the copy. If they can go through the parking lot and then go up along I-65, they don't care how they get to the board, they just wanna change the copy. So,
All you'll need to do is
Understood.
probably an ingress egress easement then,
yeah,
or something along those lines.
I mean, our goal right now, Sean, on the final engineering drawings that are about to be resubmitted for detailed review by staff, is to preserve that 40-foot access.
Okay.
When we first started our design, we weren't fully aware of that, but going back through and doing a recorded document search, ultimately, we found that. We now have it plotted and know where it is, so we can work around it.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Robert, engineer, what do you have to say?
Yeah, we've been working together. We just had a meeting yesterday, so all of us are all on the same page. You know, as far as the concern with coming over I-65, you know, I did drive it, and, you know, again, you can't stop people from speeding, but there is enough visible clearance to see, and then we did talk about adding signage, trucks entering and leaving the highway, just kind of all over, just as a warning, too. So that's something that we had talked
Well,
about.
as we've done in the past, members, and you've seen this, and when Bruce Spires was town manager, we widened 73rd Avenue to 3 lanes for all the turning movements of the residents between Virginia and Broadway. And it goes without saying that there's gonna, and Matt and I have had this conversation before, it goes without saying, the town, through this development, and the fact that we created, Margie, if you remember, we added a TIF district, we put more time on this property for a TIF, which down the road, if it's fully built out and we see what the increment is coming in, the town's gonna have to do a bond issue and widen 73rd Avenue. There's no two ways around
Okay.
it. Between
Yes.
Virginia and Mississippi, you're gonna have to widen that bridge.
Sure.
We've already been down that road with 93rd Avenue and 101st. 101st Avenue was about 6.1 million.
Yeah.
Granted, that was, before the pandemic, but
Sure.
it's gonna need to be done. There's no way around it, so it is what it is,
Okay.
so.
Well, I have a question for Robert.
Yes.
Now, on the wetland, is the public allowed to go on the wetlands now?
You actually have to mitigate other locations, and I believe that's what we're working on with these next comments.
But I can answer the question, though.
Okay.
So,
I
no,
would appreciate it. Go
it
on.
is still private property, so.
Yeah.
The idea of walking out because there's a wetland pond, no, it's still private property. The goal of mitigation, which is substantial in cost, is to add to higher quality wetlands throughout typically the same watershed.
Yeah.
And so within this same region, expand those. And you buy
Well,
credit.
what I'm aiming at, if you were going to do something close to it or with it, would you need approval from the Army Corps of Engineers or not?
So, and Fred can answer this as well. So, that particular wetland is not jurisdictional through the Army Corps of Engineers, which means that jurisdiction of which falls under the IDEM through the state of
IDEM? Okay.
Indiana. And so that permit is awaiting one signature right now. We should have it tomorrow.
Oh, very good.
And so what the Corps is concerned with is navigable waterways, enhancing wetlands of bodies of water. The term is navigable, but could you ride a canoe down navigable? No. The idea is to expand what we have in the very highest quality of wetlands that have the endangered species. I've had a site with an endangered dragonfly before. So Fish and Wildlife works with the Army Corps to create those type of environments and expand those footprints of those kind of wetland areas.
Okay. No, thank you very much. Okay, I think we will continue on. Mr. Secretary, you want to take a roll call vote?
We did not have a motion, Ms.
Oh, we need a motion.
Madam
on the floor.
President, but I'll
Sorry.
make a motion to approve P3PS 1-0525.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion on the floor by Mr. Sean Pettit to approve P3PS 1-0525, and a second by Christopher Mellon, who will take the vote now and see where we're at.
Mr. Zweig,
Yes.
Mr. Derry, Mr. Pettit.
Yes.
I myself am a yes. Vice President Derry
Yes.
and Madam Chairman.
Yes,
It's 5 yeses.
okay, it seems like, well, it is 5-0, and the vote stands and approved. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
and to the attorney, Joe, since they just sat down, and I probably should have had them stay at the podium, they are second on the agenda for the next meeting for a final subdivision request. Do you want to just take them first? I mean, final subdivision is really, Bob, the Mylar, and are we ready to?
One
Well-
thing I'd like to add, Madam Chair, is we have a couple of comments that we're working on with the plat, that there's no reason that we can't work through those. My surveyor's on vacation this week, but,
Well, before we continue, we did not adjourn this meeting, okay? Then
We
we
need
will
to adjourn it?
continue on.
Or,
No, we.
yeah, this is, the next one's a workshop.
Right, we
Yeah,
have to
well, don't
formally
we adjourn
close
this
the
meeting so
previous
we
public
could
meeting.
close here?
Motion to
And then-
adjourn.
Okay, could I have a second?
Second.
Okay, meeting's adjourned to close, and there's no other business? Okay, we will continue on now, Sean, on what you were saying.
Well, the next, it's a workshop, and we have two petitioners. Mr. Brown's in the audience. They both happen to be in my ward. If I can indulge Ross and ask to move Matt and Fred up. Again, it's the final plat request. It's only a workshop. We'll see these two in 2 weeks. I think we've dissected this enough. Obviously, I don't have any questions. I support this 100%,
Okay,
Madam President, but if you want to get the other members, and so I don't know if you guys have anything more to say, really, besides preparing the Mylars.
well, let's find out what the members have to say. What we're going to do with this workshop is move this one up, PSFS 1-0625, TPL Silos LLC petitioner and owner. Located southwest corner, East 73rd Avenue, final 6-lot subdivision on 63.25 acres in a CIS commercial industrial zoning district, and the purpose the same, to allow a 2-building speculative logistics center. All right, where are we, board members? All of this seems to come under what we just discussed and what Sean brought to the table. Are there any comments or any
Unless Bob has
questions?
any, or Joe.
Joe, are we okay?
We're fantastic. I mean, we just reviewed this as ad nauseum. The
Yeah.
developer's done a fantastic job,
Okay.
and his engineer of making sure that we're in compliance.
Okay,
I think at this time, we're just beating a dead horse.
Right, well, the only question I would have is, do you believe that the questions that
Absolutely.
you said are still hanging out there, we'll be able to get all that?
Absolutely.
2 weeks?
There, yeah,
And
there's no
Mylar.
reason why we couldn't work through those.
Okay, the Mylars will be ready. I think everything is in order with the, we will probably go ahead and approve this unless the board members have any more questions or comments. Any, Jeff?
No.
Brian?
Nope.
Chris?
What can I say? They do
Don?
outstanding work and are a benefit.
Nope,
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay, well, it is a workshop, so it looks like everything is in order, and you will be working with Robert on these other issues, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much for attending. Have a good evening. Okay, continuing on with our workshop, we will go to item P4 CPL-0625, Rossman Partners LLC petitioner and Schilling Brothers Lumber and Hardware Incorporated, and that's the owner. The request is located at 7990 East 81st Avenue. And it's a request for conceptual planned unit development on 10.28 acres in a C3 Highway Commercial Zoning District. The purpose, to allow a retail store with fuel flex warehouse. Okay.
Good
Give us
evening.
your name and present your program.
My name's Ross Brown with Advent Real Estate Advisors. I'm here with Matt Rossman, president of Rossman Partners.
Thank you.
We're proposing a 10.2 acre PUD, the mix of commercial uses in C3 and M1. What you see on the plan is a convenience store with both gas and diesel, and a 6,000 square foot convenience store that will also have a food option with a drive-through. On the back side of the property, conceptually, we're proposing a possible QSR, think of a Burger King, Dairy Queen, something like that, and a 10,000, 11,000 square foot flex building. We have had a preliminary meeting with Mr. Pettit, Ms. Shine, Steve King, Angie Chilcott. And there was some initial discussions of concerns with Randolph Street and site distances. We have engaged a traffic engineer to start his study.
Okay.
So we're hoping to get some feedback from you so that we can tighten up this conceptual drawing, get any other thoughts on access points, potential issues along Randolph. There's some other challenges as well with the site. If you look at the second page, there was a easement granted to the county commissioners back in 1974. It looks to us that that was likely made for maybe a future frontage road. We're going to speak with Mr. Emerson at the county to see what he can enlighten us on. Our preference would be to not have a frontage road for several reasons. We think that it would cause access, safety problems along Randolph. We don't think it's necessary. We're going to attempt to get a right-in, right-out onto US 30 from this property, but there's a challenge there as well. The current owners back in 98 or 2000 extinguished their rights to access 30. So we may have a challenge with NDOT. We don't know yet, but we're looking at some other alternatives in the event that we do. We're hoping that the town would be supportive in vacating this easement if it was indeed intended for a frontage road, which is what it looks like.
Well, here, Mr. Brown, I think if if this is granted to the county, the frontage road, and the county's gonna be the one necessarily that will be in support of it,
Yes,
I think, depending upon what the board rules here tonight, but, or kind of indicates. But it would be up to the county to extinguish that. So you'd be
Yes, sir.
dealing with Mr. Emerson and Mr. Fetch,
yes, sir.
Right.
so.
Yes, sir. It was, our thoughts were that, if the town is supportive of it, that may just help our challenge with potentially getting it vacated.
The bigger challenge is gonna be for you to get past NDOT and
Yes,
get
sir.
approval on it,
Yes.
right in, right out.
Yes, sir.
Robert, is that allowable not to have a frontage road there? Robert?
I don't believe, I mean, I don't think there's anything written that states that there has to be one. I know there's variations of frontage roads throughout the town, but.
I know.
And if you look across the street at the recently developed, is it Smiles on Randolph?
Miles on Randall.
No frontage road, from what it appears, was required there.
Well, Ross, I will tell you, and I've had this conversation, Madam President, because these projects, again, are in Ward 6, and if you look on
Sure.
page 2 that Ross is referring to, and you look at the car dealer, I refer to that as the old Casale's used car lot,
Okay.
okay? North of that, or west of that, and even further west of that, there are 2 projects. One we approved, which is Storage of America, and ironically, I got billboards, I got too many billboards on 30.
You have that.
We have a
You're making
billboard.
a lot of money.
We have a billboard at Barb Alter's site.
Yeah.
Barb Alter sold it to Storage of America. I've confirmed that with Mark Anderson. He's called me up and asked me about it. Angie and Sheila and I have also met with Michael Panos next to that, and we're getting feedback, and I confirmed this with Steve. NDOT is gonna make these people put in the frontage road. When they come
I
for
think
development
so.
in front of us, they're gonna make them. And I asked Steve, I go, what about Casale's? And what about Smiles on Randolph? And if you look to the south, the Lutheran church there on the other corner, they line up with what Ross is concerned about. This, that's probably where they made it go in. And when they built that church back in the day, look how that frontage road curves. Now, it's a noble idea, NDOT, and everyone knows pretty much that they are my absolute favorite state agency.
I'd say nemesis.
Well, yeah, I use that term loosely, Joe. But why are you going to piecemeal together? That'd be like us, like Bob and Steve, making people piecemeal their sidewalks,
Right.
in developments. And I don't understand, but Steve said they're adamant about this, and I said, okay, so Marcus set up a meeting with Lauren Huffman for the Storage of America to find out, because you go down and you see sections of it.
Yeah.
On the Hobart, because again, we start after, just west of Barb Alter's site. There's the old Sherwin-Williams paint that Steve Hovanek owns. That's the first property in Merrillville. And then you go east. And so, I don't know about 30. I'm guessing because of the turn lane, they're gonna give you right in, right out only. You and I talked about that, Ross. They're not,
Yes.
I don't know what to do about that. I'm more concerned, members, and I know this is going to come up when they come to preliminary. There are 2 houses on the west side of Randolph between 83rd and US 30. And one house has elderly residents. I've talked to them before, obviously campaigning, Margie, as we
Was
do.
that the old Hovanek house?
No, it's Buelcher, I think they pronounce it Buelcher. And then there's a guy right on the corner of 83rd.
Yeah.
The first thing I told Steve is we need to get a 3-way stop at 83rd and Randolph to slow these people down. Then as we talked with Matt and Ross in the meeting, with those humps, Steve and I were talking, they're gonna have to be removed. There's gonna have to be something done. We're asking for trouble. We really are. And when turning movements come in, and if it's a right in, right out only, and you've got a semi, all the semi-traffic now, if you're going westbound and a semi decides he's gonna turn left onto Randolph and then right back into their proposed development,
Yeah.
those are turning movements that we gotta be cognizant of as
Sure.
we approve this thing. So, I give you the latitude, guys, but until I see something concrete, I'm lukewarm on supporting this, Matt, I'm sorry, but I gotta be cognizant of the people that go down Randolph to Grassfields, to Auburn Hills.
Right.
To Sandpiper, and, you know, even to Winfield.
Sure.
You know, the people going down to Doubletree, because I've gotten the phone calls of people flying down there,
Yeah.
going down Randolph, we repave it. Every time we repave a large stretch in the Panhandle, it becomes a racetrack. They're thinking it's US 30 drag strip
Right.
all over again, so.
Now, what does Mike Panos have to do with this? You mentioned his name.
Mike has got the potential to do something between the used car lot on the north and where Storage of America is going. He hasn't filed with us yet, I don't think, has he, Sheila?
Next month.
Why
Next
does
month.
he have the potential? Is that his property?
He's got the 20, yeah, he's got the 20 acres, and Sheila said he's filed something for July,
Oh, he's got 20 acres there,
I
Mike
think,
Panos?
isn't it? I think
about-
it's 20,
Yeah.
something like that. So
Right
what,
next
what
to
does
Towards
he want
America.
to
He
do?
called me and told me that he would be filing.
He what?
He called me and told me he was gonna file.
what's he filing for?
Conceptual.
Conceptual PUD? So, yeah,
Well, what does he want to put there?
It's like,
he wants a convenience store too, let's tell him the truth, Sheila.
Yeah,
We
because
talked
I'm
about it.
wondering
He wants
if-
another
but
convenience
it has
store.
to do with cars, a convenience store up front, and then the back of it has to do with all,
It's like he called them condos.
yeah.
That
Oh,
people
he's
that have
going in-
motorhomes or boats or a lot of equipment would rent these from him. It's a little bit different than
Condo?
Storage of America,
Yes.
Okay.
but it's for storage. You know,
But it's very close.
yeah, we'll
this
have to see how he
project.
presents. I mean,
So
he's-
you know what? That's why I was wondering, what is Mike Panos doing there?
Yeah.
And we have this development coming.
yeah,
Are they going to, is it going to be a hindrance to this development? Or
well,
will we have to just look further into it?
there seems to be my take, and Ross, you're in the market more than I am. I just, you know, see what I see.
Yeah,
You know, we've got Matt here tonight. We've got the Speedway at 30 and Grand.
right.
We've got Panos possibly with a convenience store. I know in my Lamar dealings, the old beer barrel was torn down. And there's a
Yes.
company coming in called Racetrack that wants to do a convenience store there as well. And so it seems like every corner there on 30,
Right.
we're gonna end up with, you know, some type of convenience store.
Well, has the beer barrel been sold? Did
Yeah.
Puyo sell that?
Yeah, he
Who'd
did.
he sell it to?
It's called Racetrack.
Okay,
Racetrack, they're a development firm out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, they have already gotten all their
They do
approvals
gas
from Hobart.
stations.
why, what do they want to put there? That is
Gas
Hobart.
station.
That's Hobart.
Yeah, that's.
Another
yeah.
gas station.
Well, that's kind of close to the Speedway there, right?
Yeah.
On Route 30
That's
Speedway?
not,
It's Clay Street, it's,
Yeah,
it's
Clay.
before you
Okay.
get to Albany's. Oh,
Yeah, that's around that
so,
restaurant.
well,
Walmart.
and Sean,
Restaurant.
you know, going back in history, across from the beer barrel, there used to be a Sunoco station.
right,
Sure.
And everybody used that Sunoco station because they had racing fuel and you go to the strip. Or they had, you know, it was the place over in that area for the folks that lived over there.
by the way, Brian, I have a billboard there too.
I love it.
Jerry Bishop just sold it to some guy.
Oh, I love it. My only question, and this isn't a blow to your project at all, I think if you can get IDEM to go along with you, okay? Or NDOT, I mean, sorry,
NDOT,
NDOT to
yeah.
go along with you and give you access out onto Route 30, I mean, I don't see you're having much problem at all. The frontage road situation, that can be worked out. I'm curious, though, was this not part of Merrillville when Merrillville incorporated in 71?
As far as I know it was. This has been
How?
owned by the
Well, no,
Schillings
no, no,
forever.
Then it bodes the question, how was the county able to file anything on that piece of property in 74? That would have come in front of the town of Merrillville, not the county plan commission.
Yeah,
So I would say that that you would have cause, talking to Counselor, he would know better than I, to challenge that cut,
Hold on. We're getting into the weeds here.
okay?
Yeah.
If they want to challenge the county, they can go ahead and challenge
Right,
the county
right.
all day long. We're not giving legal advice.
well,
Yeah,
again,
that's
as I said,
their-
for support on my vote on the commission and on the council, I'm telling the petitioner, we gotta solve Randolph, guys.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So unfortunately, I think I might have mentioned this when we met, guys, whether it's $250,000 or $500,000, I'm not gonna exacerbate a traffic situation out there, especially again with the described turning movement. Putting a right in, right out only on the south side of 30 only handles your eastbound traffic. It doesn't handle your westbound traffic.
But John,
Your
think-
westbound traffic is gonna have to turn onto Randolph
Right.
and then turn or turn in, and
Think of it this way, though. Think about the situation at Luke on the west side of 65, okay? People going westbound don't use that gas station near as much as other gas stations. Perfect example where I was leading with the whole comment about Sunoco. How many times have they reopened the gas station on the north side of 30, and it goes out of business in a year or two because they get no business whatsoever, because 99% of the people that are using Luke that came in from the westbound
But I will
side
tell you, Brian,
get back on 65.
being in that area, and I just did it twice this weekend to fill up my car and my daughter's car. I went in northbound on Mississippi, I
Right.
hit the turn.
Right.
I gassed up, and I went in, and I made a U-turn, or I turned into Ashley and came back down Mississippi to go back home because of
Right.
that raised median. So
Right.
people are exiting on the east side, that east side cut of Luke.
Right.
They're not
No, I'm
necessarily
talking
going
about
northbound.
the Luke over on the west side of 65, not the
Oh,
north
okay,
side.
by Century Plaza.
Yeah, by Century Plaza, and that gas station there has gone out of business 20 times probably since it was built a million years ago.
Well, I
So
think
I
that's up
don't
to
see-
the individual, use what gas
And,
station
well, no,
they
where
want.
I'm worried about with this is, we're gonna approve a gas station there, we could potentially approve a gas station across the street. There's now a Hobart gas station down by the old Sunoco. How many eastbound, westbound US 30 people are gonna support 3 or 4 gas stations in a 2-mile stretch? Are we gonna end up with another empty gas station like we've been stuck with at the old entrance to, the Radisson? That gas station's been an.
How many duplexes are we gonna approve in Merrillville, since you and I have been on the plan commission, Brian?
Yep,
I mean, the land uses, you get, it's a market. I mean, if Matt wants to take the gamble and Racetrack wants to take the gamble, I see what you're saying. Down the road, are we gonna have a problem? Do we have the big box empties? Are we gonna have abandoned gas stations in 25 years? I don't know. That's competition in the market. I don't,
we don't know.
no, we don't.
That's the future.
Yeah.
And we cannot say no to developers that are coming in to
Right,
help
well,
Maryville.
here's a prime example in your area, Margie. You've got one of the busiest speedways at 30 in
Right.
Whitcomb. I noticed going to Cherville for business the other day, they tore down the BP at 30 in Burr in Cherville.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that's going to become. I don't know if you know,
A new C-store.
another C
And
store?
you know what? I'll use that as an example. Speedway's very busy, but you know where I go? I live just a few blocks from it. I go to Luke's
Do you?
on 73rd and Taft,
73rd and
right?
Taft.
Yeah,
And if-
That's my choice.
yeah.
If I could add, it's, this isn't, the C-store isn't a speculative project. We have
You
the
have a
user.
tenant.
We have the user.
Yeah.
They've done their due diligence, they've done their fuel studies, and they believe that this is a viable site. This is probably a $10 to $12 million project in total. The C-store itself is probably 7 million of that, thereabout. This will be a great location for them.
And as I say, if you can get NDOT's approval to go right in, right out onto 30, I mean, this is a no-brainer at that point.
Thank you.
Well, again, Matt, I talked to you since this is a workshop. I don't want to see you spend, no offense to Roth, I don't want to see you guys spend a lot of money, because at preliminary, you're going to have 18 items. And again, I'm going to beat a dead horse. We got to solve the Randolph situation. Both the town and you, we're going to have to solve this thing. And I don't know what,
Yes,
people are going to drive. We've heard this. Margie and I have heard this from Chief Newsis. Joe's heard it.
Right.
We put in the speed humps. We got the traffic division. People are just driving like, I don't know what sometimes.
Sure.
And I don't know if we can solve it, but I don't want to see a lot,
Well, we we pulled the reins back on the engineers so we could focus on the traffic study.
Okay.
Because I think that, the traffic study is going to tell us what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done. Safety is important to you, it's also important to us.
Yeah.
Sure.
If we don't have a safe access to the property, people will stop coming.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have, what is it, $10 million in investment?
Yes, sir.
Of course.
I'd love to have that. That's our AV, Margie, going
Right.
up. I mean, I don't,
Definitely.
but I also don't want to
Well,
exacerbate a traffic.
I'm looking at that front road, the frontage with NDOT, and I'd like to know where we would be with that before we go any.
And I would recommend to my colleagues, if you get a chance and you're going out that way, and Brian, I know you like to travel on these petitions,
Yeah,
go out on 83rd Avenue. Don't go on US 30. Go to 83rd Avenue at the T.
Yep.
And
I've been
watch
on there for
to
many
the north and watch how these guys go through. And sometimes it took me several minutes for the traffic to clear, because they're just going
Right.
and going and going, and they're going down to, again,
I'm there.
grass fields, Auburn Hills, more than likely to
Right.
Winfield is where they're going.
My mom lives in
Well,
Winfield, and my sister, and I see it all the time.
I
It's
go
a
to
racetrack.
that credit union, Northwestern, and then my sister's house.
Yep.
I see the traffic.
Oh,
when you
yeah,
go
you
to
know
Brandon.
exactly where, yeah.
I know exactly what's
Are
going
they still
on.
out there?
Yeah.
Terry's still out there, isn't he?
Oh, Terry's out there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, to
Between
be honest-
Florida, back
Yeah.
and forth, but he's a guy that's business, yeah.
Well, and to be honest with you, Sean, one of the few places I've lived in northwest Indiana, other than Merrillville, and when my folks moved there in '71, was out in Lake of the Four Seasons. I
Okay.
lived out there for a couple of years.
Yep.
And I used this road a lot, and everybody would just blow down that road.
Well, Brian's in 71, it's changed a lot. and
Oh, yeah.
there's more traffic now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Much more.
Yep.
And every once in a while, I'll get one or two calls from somebody saying, Sean, if you want, you could park a squad car in my driveway, 97th Avenue or,
Yeah.
93rd Avenue, and just, have the people write tickets. And
Yeah.
we've put up those signs, Margie, with the slow down, the speedometer on
I've
it.
seen,
Yep.
Yep, so
I go out
I
there.
think hopefully we can work through it.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
Like I
let's see
say,
what happens in
go
who's
see
doing
it.
your study, Ross?
Talk with
Kleinfelter,
NDOT, talk
Jeff
with our
Weaver,
engineer.
who's done at least, a couple other traffic studies in the
Okay.
town. I've used him on a couple other projects. He seems to work well with Bob and his crew, so.
Okay,
well, and as I said, and I defer to Counselor on that, not giving legal advice, I'm still scratching my head, how did county have any jurisdiction to do anything like that in '74?
But
That's
it's
just, I
It's
don't know.
also
Oh, that was
interesting.
a
But
board
that's up to
decision.
you to go study that.
No,
That was a
we're-
board decision through the county
We're
probably.
going to work on it. We also discovered that the sanitary, this property was never annexed into the Merrillville Conservancy District.
Who's
We
those
have
sanitary
a 36-inch
MCD?
main
Ooh,
stubbed to the property.
what?
So the property was never annexed into the Conservancy District, Merrillville
Okay.
Conservancy District, but there's a 36-inch main stubbed at the property. So that's something that we're working through as
So
well.
wait a minute, what you're telling me is you'll have your own sanitary district?
No, ma'am. We're-
I don't
No,
get
they're,
it.
they're looking to become a part
they're not in the
Merrillville
service
Emergency
area.
District.
Oh,
But they
oh,
have to be annexed in.
oh, you want to
Annex
annex into
into tap in.
MCD
Yeah,
probably?
I want to
Yes,
tap
ma'am.
in.
Right,
Okay.
okay. Oh, yeah, you want to tap in, all
I
right.
can introduce you to their attorney after the meeting, Ross, if you'd like. A hell of a guy.
That'd be fantastic.
Great attorney.
Yeah, how'd he get that?
We spoke briefly on the topic.
Hey,
Thank you.
You're really moving up in the world, Joe.
Trying to keep pace with.
Sean's got all the billboards, Joe's got,
Bill's got all
the jobs.
Legal
all
work.
the-
Yeah,
all the-
Sean's got all those billboards
Yeah.
going.
Well, I know nothing about billboards and not a little bit about,
Well, I watched
legal
the
matters, but,
political races.
I think you're in good
hands.
hands with our friend here.
I think so.
Yeah.
His expertise is greatly appreciated.
Okay, so where are we now with Mr. Rossman? You're going to go to NDOT about the frontage road, MCD about your sanitary sewers,
County.
and then what else do we have to?
Traffic
look at?
study.
Traffic study.
Traffic study, with our engineers,
Traffic
correct?
study and then getting the frontage road potentially vacated.
Yeah. Well, then I guess that'll do it after you
Got a lot
get
of
all
work
of
to
that
do.
We
together.
have a lot of work, yes, sir.
You get all that together, contact
But for
Sheila.
that kind of investment, I think it,
Archie,
Yeah.
I think
so.
Sheila wants.
I have a question.
What is it, Sheila?
sorry,
I need to know, is he coming back for a conceptual vote on the day, at the next meeting?
Well, I can't say that because right now, I don't know where we stand with
Will
him.
the study be ready, Ross?
Not by, when is the next meeting?
17th?
2 weeks.
No, sir.
No,
be ready.
see,
All right.
he won't be ready.
I think
That's what I had.
Potentially the next
July?
month.
Well, you've already come in for the workshop.
This is a
So I
workshop.
think you skip the workshop and you just come in for, when he's ready to go.
In July?
In
come
July for the meeting.
conceptual, if he has all his stuff together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would
I
the
just-
second meeting in July work for you?
We hope.
Okay.
But it's in the hands of the traffic engineer at this point.
Sure.
And we may be upwards of 6 weeks away still of having him finish his work, because we wanted to have any feedback that we may
Yeah.
have had from you guys tonight to provide to him. But it sounds like everything is kind of the same as we talked about initially,
So in 2 weeks, we would just take a formal vote to defer either until the July meeting or whenever the.
Or he could ask for it in writing, couldn't he, Joe, since his
He
study's
could,
not,
he could submit a,
submit a letter that the
submit a
study's
letter
not
for
done,
referral.
put him onto the July agenda.
Did you have anything, Jeff?
No, I remember 1974, that's all I had to say.
What did you remember, Jeff?
74, sorry.
Get me
What
started.
about 74?
Oakland won their third World Series, where else should I be?
Okay, Jeff, that sounds really
my hobbies.
interesting.
All right.
Okay, but in the meantime, then, Mr. Rossman, am I correct?
Mr. Brown, this is
Oh,
Mr. Ross.
Mr. Brown, okay. Just contact Sheila, or Sheila will know when you're ready to go, and she'll put you on the agenda,
Yep.
because we had the workshop, like the counselor said, and you could talk with NDOT and the traffic engineers and find out what you have to find out.
Hopefully, we'll make a lot of progress.
We'll be here,
And we do appreciate your interest in investing in Merrillville.
of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks,
How
guys.
much money are we talking about?
10
Millions?
10 to 12 million
10 to
estimated
12
right now.
million? Sounds really good.
Yep.
I wish
Appreciate
I
that a
was
lot.
part of that investment,
Yeah.
but good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, our workshop, I think, has ended.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion accepted, second accepted.
Aye.
If you,
We're out of here.
you folks give me 1 minute.